Dr. Maya Chen had always been different from other people her age. While her friends were busy planning weekend parties and dating apps, she spent her evenings reading research papers about tiny organisms that could survive in impossible places. At 34, she worked as a scientist studying life forms that could live in extreme conditions, places so hot, cold, or poisonous that nothing should be able to survive there. Maya lived alone in a small apartment filled with books, science, equipment, and half-empty coffee cups. Her marriage had ended 2 years ago when her husband complained she loved her microscope more than him. Maybe he was right. After the divorce, she threw herself even deeper into her work. People always asked why she didn't try dating again, but Maya had given up on finding someone who understood her passion for discovering the impossible. Her job took her to the strangest places on Earth. This time, she was in the Atacama Desert in Chile, one of the driest places on the planet. The desert was so harsh that scientists used it to test equipment for Mars missions. If anything could live here, it might give them clues. About life on other planets, Maya had been working alone at her research station for 3 weeks. The station was basically a fancy camping setup with solar panels, computers, and lab equipment. She liked the silence out here. No phone calls, no meetings, just her and the endless questions that nature kept hiding from human eyes. On that Tuesday morning, something unusual caught her attention. While checking her equipment readings, she noticed strange energy signatures. Coming from about 2 miles northeast of her camp, the readings didn't match anything she'd seen before. Not geological. It's not from any known weather patterns. It's definitely not from any human technology. Maya packed her gear and drove her all-terrain vehicle toward the source. The desert landscape looked the same everywhere. Rocky, dusty, and empty. But as she got closer to the coordinates, she saw something that made her heart skip. There was a crater in the ground about 20 feet wide with what looked like metallic debris scattered around it. Her first thought was that a satellite had crashed. Space junk fell to Earth all the time, and the desert was a common landing spot. But as she got closer, Maya realized this wasn't like any satellite she'd ever seen. The metal, if it was metal, had a strange blue-green color that seemed to shift and change in the sunlight. Some pieces were smooth like glass, others had patterns that looked almost organic. Like the inside of a seashell, Maya set up her equipment and started taking readings. The materials were unlike anything in her databases. They seemed to absorb and reflect energy in ways that shouldn't be possible. Her excitement grew with each measurement. This could be the discovery of a lifetime. A new type of material, maybe. Even proof of technology from outside Earth. Then she heard it. A sound so soft she almost missed it, like a child crying. Maya froze. Ow. There shouldn't be anyone out here for hundreds of miles. She listened carefully, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. There it was again, coming from the center of the crater. She grabbed her first aid kit and climbed down into the crater. The crying was definitely coming from underneath. A large piece of the strange debris. Maya carefully moved the piece aside, and what she saw made her question everything she thought she knew about the universe. A small figure was curled up in a hollow space, no bigger than a 7-year-old child. But this wasn't a human child. The being had arms and legs that were too long for its body, skin that looked like it was made of starlight, and eyes that were twice the size of human eyes. Its skin kept changing colors, blue when it seemed scared, purple when it looked up. At her in silver around the edges like moonlight on water, Maya's scientific mind raced through possibilities. Hallucination from desert heat? Some kind of undiscovered animal? But the being looked at her with intelligence that was unmistakably aware, unmistakably. Human-like in its emotions, even if everything else was completely alien. The creature was hurt. One of its long arms was bent at an odd angle, and there was a cut on its forehead that leaked something that looked like liquid mercury instead of blood. Maya's doctor instincts kicked in before her scientist's brain could catch up. "Hey, it's okay," she said softly, the same way she used to talk to scared animals when she was a kid. "Not going to hurt you." The being's eyes widened, and suddenly, Maya felt something strange in her mind. Not her own thoughts, but something else. like an echo of feelings that weren't hers. Fear, pain, loneliness, and underneath it all, desperate hope. Then the impossible happened. The creature spoke, its voice high and musical, but struggling with unfamiliar sounds. Help, ... Please help, ... My mother... Maya sat back on her heels, trying to process what was happening. This small being, clearly not from Earth, had just spoken to her in English. Broken English, but still understandable. "Your mother?" Maya asked gently. "Where is your mother?" The creature's skin flashed red with what Maya somehow understood was distress. It pointed up at the sky with its good arm. "Ship... ... She cannot... ... She is." The being struggled for words. Then that strange feeling in Maya's mind grew stronger. Suddenly she could sense what it was trying to say. Its mother was somewhere above them in some kind of vehicle. She was in trouble. Maya made a decision that would change everything. Instead of calling for help, instead of contacting her supervisors or the government, she looked at this frightened, hurt child, because that's what it was. Despite being from another world, and said the words that would bind their fates together. "Kay, little one, let me help you first, and then we'll figure out how to help your mother. Can you trust me?" The being's skin shifted to a warm golden color, and Maya felt a wave of gratitude and relief that wasn't her own. The creature nodded and tried to stand up. Maya carefully helped it out of the crater, supporting its weight as they made their way back to her research station. As they walked slowly across the desert, Maya couldn't help but think that this was either the greatest discovery in human history, or the beginning of the strangest chapter of her life. It's probably both. The being leaned against her as they walked, and Maya noticed it was warm like a human child with a fever. Whatever it was, wherever it came from, right now, it needed help. And Maya had never been able to turn away from someone who needed help. No matter how impossible the situation seemed, by the time they reached her station, Maya had already decided. She wasn't going to call anyone else. Not yet. This little being trusted her, and she wasn't going to let it down. She would figure out how to help it and its mother, even if she had no idea what she was getting herself into, as she helped the creature settle on a cot in her station. Maya realized her quiet, predictable life had just become anything but ordinary, and for the first time in years, she felt truly excited about what tomorrow might bring. 3 weeks had passed since Maya found the small alien child in the desert crater. She had decided to call him Zeph, since that's the closest sound she could make to what he called himself in his musical language. Those 3 weeks had been the strangest and most wonderful of Maya's entire life. Taking care of Zeph was like caring for a very smart, very unusual child. He was curious about everything, the way Maya's coffee maker worked, why she brushed, her teeth, how her computer could show pictures of places far away, but he also knew things that amazed her. He could predict weather changes days in advance just by looking at the sky. He understood her scientific equipment better than some of her colleagues did, and sometimes late at night. He would hum songs that sounded like they came from the stars themselves. Maya had learned that Zeph's people were called the Ethereals. They were explorers who traveled between worlds, learning about different forms of life. Zeph told her that his kind valued 3 things above all else: knowledge, kindness, and family. They believed that learning about others made you wiser, helping others made you stronger, and protecting your family was the most important job anyone could have. The more time Maya spent with Zeph, the more she understood that despite looking so different, he felt emotions just like humans did. He got excited when he learned something new. He felt sad when he talked about missing his home. He laughed at funny videos Maya showed him on her tablet, though his laugh sounded like wind. Chimes in a gentle breeze. Most importantly, he loved his mother with a devotion that touched Maya's heart. Every day, Zeph would stare up at the sky, and his skin would turn the deep blue color that Maya had learned meant he was worried. His mother was still up there somewhere in their damaged ship, and she was getting sicker. Maya had been trying to understand the alien technology she'd found at the crash site. Some of the pieces seemed to respond to touch, glowing softly when she held them. Others made musical sounds when Zeph was near them. But she was nowhere close to figuring out how their ship worked or how to fix it. As the days went by, Zeph became Zeph. more anxious. His skin stayed blue most of the time now, and he barely ate the fruits and vegetables that seemed to be the only earth food he could digest. Maya could feel his worry through that strange mental connection they shared. It was like having someone else's emotions echoing in the back of her mind. On the 21st day, while Maya was trying to analyze another piece of alien metal, Zeph suddenly grabbed her hands. His large eyes were filled with tears that sparkled, like liquid diamonds. "Maya," he said, his voice shaking with emotion, "I need to ask you something very important." Maya set down her equipment and gave him her full attention. Over the past weeks, she had become genuinely attached to this strange, wonderful child. Seeing him so upset made her heart ache. What is it, Zeph? "You know you can ask me anything." Zeph took a deep breath, and his skin shifted through several colors: blue, purple, silver, and finally settling on a desperate orange that Maya had never seen before. "Maya," he said, his words careful and slow. Are you... Are you single?" Maya was so surprised by the question that she almost laughed. "Single? You mean, do I have a husband or boyfriend?" "No, Zeph, I'm single. Why do you ask?" What happened next was something Maya would remember for the rest of her life. Zeph's skin turned the brightest gold she'd ever seen, and he squeezed her hands tighter. "My mom is really kind," he said, the words tumbling out in a rush. "The best person in the whole universe. She's smart and funny, and she always knows how to make everything better. She takes care of everyone, and she never thinks about herself first, and she makes the most beautiful music when she's happy." Maya listened, confused but touched by the love in Zeph's voice. "She sounds wonderful, Zeph. I'd love to meet her. You have to marry her." Zeph burst out, his skin now flashing between gold and orange like a strobe light. "Please, Maya, you have to marry my mom." Maya sat back, completely stunned. All the things she had imagined Zeph might ask her, this was definitely not one. "Of them, Zeph, what? Marry your mother. I don't understand." Zeph realized how his words sounded, and his skin turned pink, which Maya had learned was his version of blushing. "Not like humans marry," he said quickly. "In my culture, bonding. What you call marriage is different. It's not about ... about romantic love always. It's about choosing to be family. It's about promising to take care of each other no matter what happens." Maya was trying to process this when Zeph continued, his words coming faster as his desperation. "Gru, my mom is dying up there, Maya. The radiation from our damaged ship is making her sick. But in our culture, when someone bonds with another person, it gives them strength. It gives them hope. It gives them a reason to fight to stay alive." Tears were flowing freely down Zeph's face now, and Maya could feel his heart break through. Their connection. "I can't fix our ship, and I'm too young. I don't know how. But if my mom had someone to bond with, someone to be family with, maybe she would be strong enough to survive until help comes. Maybe she would fight harder to stay alive. If she knew she had new family to protect." Maya felt her own eyes filling with tears. The love this child had for his mother was overwhelming. But what he was asking seemed impossible. "Zeph, I care about you so much, and I want to help your mother. But I can't just marry someone I've never met. Even if it's different from human. Marriage, it's still a huge commitment." Zeph's skin turned gray, and Maya felt his hope crashing like a wave against rocks. "I know it sounds crazy," he whispered. "I know you think I'm just a weird alien kid asking impossible things. But Maya, you're the kindest person I've ever met besides my mom. You took care of me when I was hurt and scared. You didn't call other humans to take me away. You learned to understand me and you made me feel safe." He looked up at her with those huge, expressive eyes. "My mom needs someone like you, and maybe you need someone like her too. You're always so lonely, Maya. I can feel it sometimes. You take care of everyone else, but nobody takes care of you." Hush, Maya was quiet for a long moment, thinking about everything Zeph had said. Hush. It was true that she was lonely. It was true that she had spent years taking care of others, her research, her projects, her responsibilities, but never really letting anyone take care of her. "Tell me more about your mother," Maya said finally. "And tell me more about what bonding means to your people." Zeph's skin brightened just a little bit, hope returning to his voice. As he began to explain the customs of his people and paint a picture of the mother he loved so desperately, Maya listened and slowly began to understand that this impossible request might actually be the answer to problems she didn't even know she had. As the desert stars came out that night, Maya found herself seriously considering the most unusual proposal she had ever received, given to her by a child from another world who just wanted to save his mother's life. Maya spent 2 sleepless nights thinking about Zeph's request. The idea seemed impossible, yet she couldn't stop imagining what his mother might be like. Zeph spoke about her with such love and admiration that Maya found herself genuinely curious about this alien woman who had raised such a remarkable child. On the 3rd morning, Maya made her decision. She found Zeph sitting outside the research station, staring up at the early dawn sky with worry written across his color-changing features. "Zeph," she said gently, sitting down beside him, "I want to meet your mother." The young alien's skin flashed brilliant gold, and he turned to her with hope shining in his large eyes. "Really? You mean it?" "I mean it. But I need to understand what I'm agreeing to. Can you contact her? Can we somehow get to her ship?" Zeph jumped up with excitement, his skin cycling through happy colors like a living rainbow. Yes, I can call her. Our people have technology that can work even when the main ship systems are damaged." He ran inside and came back with a small device that looked like a crystal flower. When he held it, the petals glowed softly and made sounds like gentle music. Zeph spoke in his own language, his voice rising and falling like a song. After a few minutes, the device glowed brighter, and Maya heard another voice responding. It was definitely female, with the same musical quality as Zeph's voice, but deeper, more mature. Even though Maya couldn't understand the words, she could hear the love and relief in the voice when it spoke to Zeph. "She's so happy," Zeph said, tears of joy sparkling on his cheeks. "She thought I was dead. She's been trying to reach me for weeks, but her equipment was too damaged." Maya felt a tug at her heart. This mother had been alone in space, injured and sick, thinking her child was gone. The thought of that kind of pain made Maya's decision feel even more right. "Can she bring the ship down here?" Maya asked. Zeph spoke to his mother again then. Shook his head. "She says the ship is too damaged for atmospheric flight, but she can send down a smaller craft, a pod that can carry 2 people back up to the ship." Maya's stomach fluttered with nervousness. She was about to go into space too. Meet an alien being and possibly agree to some kind of marriage ceremony. If anyone had told her a month ago that this would be her life, she would have recommended therapy. 2 hours later, Maya watched a small silver pod descend from the sky like a falling star. It landed gently in the desert sand, and a door opened. With no sound at all, the inside glowed with soft blue light and had 2 seats that looked like they were grown rather than built. "The pod will take us up safely," Zeph assured her as they climbed inside. "My mom designed it herself. She's the best engineer in our family." The journey to the ship was unlike anything Maya had ever experienced. They rose smoothly through the atmosphere, and Maya watched through the transparent walls as Earth fell away below them. Within minutes, they approached what looked like a massive living creature floating in space. The ship was beautiful in a way that took Maya's breath away. It wasn't made of metal like human spacecraft. Instead, it looked organic, like a giant sea creature made of pearl and starlight. Parts of it pulsed gently with inner light, like a heartbeat, but Maya could also see the damage. Dark areas where the surface looked burned or torn, and sections that flickered weakly instead of glowing steadily. "She's beautiful," Maya whispered, and she meant both the ship and whoever had created it. "Wait until you meet her," Zeph said proudly. The pod docked with the ship through an opening that sealed behind them like lips closing. As they stepped out, Maya felt like she was walking inside a living being. The walls curved smoothly and glowed with warm light. The floor felt soft under her feet, almost spongy, and she realized it was probably some kind of biological material. Zeph led her through corridors that branched and curved like the inside of a shell. Everything was beautiful, but Maya could see signs of damage everywhere. cracks in the walls, areas where the light flickered, and a smell in the air that reminded her of electrical fires. Mom, Zeph called out in English, probably for Maya's benefit. "In here, my starlight," came a voice from ahead of them. They entered a large circular room that must have been the ship's command center. Floating screens showed star maps and ship diagnostics, but Maya barely noticed them. Her attention was completely captured by the being who stood up to greet them. Zeph's mother was tall and graceful, with the same elongated limbs as her son, but proportioned for an adult. Her skin was a beautiful silver color with patterns that moved slowly across her arms and face like flowing water. Her hair, if it could be called hair, looked like spun moonlight and moved as if it was floating underwater. But it was her eyes that struck Maya most. They were large like Zeph's, but filled with ancient wisdom and infinite kindness. "You must be Maya," she said, and her voice was like music made of starlight. "I am Lyra. Thank you for taking care of my son." I felt that strange mental connection she shared with Zeph, but stronger. For just a moment, she felt what Lyra was feeling: overwhelming gratitude, deep exhaustion, and underneath it all, a strength that had kept her alive through weeks of pain and despair. "It was my pleasure," Maya said, meaning it completely. "Zeph is an amazing child. You should be very proud." Lyra's skin glowed warmer, and Maya realized this was how ethereals smiled. "He told me what he asked you. Hope you know that you're under no obligation to agree to anything." What he suggested. It's a big commitment, even by our standards. Maya looked around the damaged ship, then at Zeph, who was trying not to look too hopeful, then back at Lyra, who was clearly unwell despite trying to hide it. "Tell me about bonding in your culture," Maya said. "I want to understand what it really means." For the next hour, Lyra explained her people's customs. Bonding was indeed different from human marriage. It was about choosing to become family, to share responsibilities and support each other through life's challenges. It could be romantic, but it didn't have to be. Some bonds were formed between friends, some between colleagues, some between people who simply recognized in each other a kindred spirit. "The ceremony itself is beautiful," Lyra said. "We share memories and hopes through our mental connection. We promise to protect and care for each other. And then we're family, in the deepest sense of the word." Maya found herself surprisingly moved by the idea. She had always wanted a family, but her dedication to her work and her difficulty connecting with others had made that seem impossible. "What would happen after?" Maya asked. "If I agreed, I mean, would you stay on Earth? Would I go with you to your home world?" Lyra's expression grew sad. "We can't go home, Maya. My people are divided about contact with other species. We're refugees now. If we stay on Earth, we would need to remain hidden or find a way to gradually introduce our presence to your people." Maya felt a rush of protective feelings. These weren't invaders or threats. They were a family seeking shelter, and they had already enriched her life more than she could have imagined. "I have one more question," Maya said. "Do you want this? Not for survival, not for your son's sake, but for yourself. Would you want me as family?" Lyra was quiet for a long moment, and Maya felt a flood of complex emotions through their connection: loneliness, hope, affection, and something that might have been love, though not the romantic kind. "Maya," Lyra said finally, "in the weeks since Zeph told me about you, I've watched through his memories as you cared for him. I felt his happiness and sense of safety. I've seen your kindness, your curiosity, your strength. Yes, I would very much like you to be family." Maya looked at Zeph, who was practically vibrating with hopeful energy, then back at Lyra, who was trying not to look too eager. "Okay," Maya said, surprising herself with how certain she sounded. "Let's do it. Let's become family." The joy that filled the ship was unlike anything Maya had ever experienced. Zeph's happy colors lit up the entire room, and Lyra's relief and gratitude flowed through their mental connection like warm sunshine. Maya realized that she wasn't just agreeing to help them, she was agreeing to the family she had always wanted but never thought she could have got. As Lyra began preparing for the bonding ceremony, Maya felt more nervous and excited than she ever had in her life. She was about to become part of something bigger than herself, something that would change everything she thought she knew about love, family, and what it meant to belong somewhere. The bonding ceremony took place in the most beautiful room Maya had ever seen. Lyra led them to what she called the heart chamber, a circular space at the center of the ship where the walls were made of something that looked like living crystal. The crystals pulsed gently with soft light that changed colors like a slow rainbow. This room connects to the ship's life force, Lyra explained, as she prepared for the ceremony. It helps amplify the emotional connections between people. It makes the bonding stronger and more meaningful. Maya felt nervous butterflies in her stomach, but also a deep sense of rightness about what they were about to do. Over the past few hours, she had gotten to know Lyra better, and her initial impression had only grown stronger. Lyra was indeed as wonderful as Zeph had described, intelligent, kind, and possessed of a gentle strength that reminded Maya of deep mountain lakes. Zeph was practically bouncing with excitement, skin cycling through every happy color Maya had ever seen him display. "This is going to be so amazing," he kept saying. "You're going to love being family with us, Maya. And Mom, you're going to love having Maya as your bonded partner." Lyra had explained that the ceremony was simple but profound. They would sit together and share their thoughts and feelings through the mental connection that ethereals could form with others. They would exchange memories, happy ones, sad ones, and everything in between. They would share their hopes for the future and their promises to each other. And then, if both hearts truly agreed, they would be bonded as family. "There's no going back once it's done," Lyra had warned her. "The connection becomes permanent. You'll always be able to sense each other's emotions, and you'll always be family, no matter what happens." Maya had thought about this seriously. In human culture, divorce was always possible if marriages didn't work out. But this would be different. A permanent emotional bond with someone she was still getting to know. It didn't scare her. The connection she already felt with both Lyra and Zeph told her that this was right. They sat in a triangle on the soft floor of the heart chamber. With Zeph between his mother and Maya, Lyra reached out and took Maya's hands, and immediately, Maya felt the connection strengthen. It was like turning up the volume on emotions. She could feel Lyra's nervousness, her hope, her affection. And underneath it all, a deep well of love that had been lonely for so long. "Close your eyes," Lyra said softly. "Let me show you who I am." What happened next was unlike anything Maya had ever experienced. Memories that weren't her own began flowing through her mind. She saw Lyra as a young ethereal, studying the stars and dreaming of exploring distant worlds. She felt Lyra's joy when Zeph was born, her fierce determination to protect him when their homeworld became dangerous for families like theirs, who believed in peaceful contact with other species. Maya experienced Lyra's loneliness during the long journey through space, her fear when their ship was damaged, and her despair when she thought Zeph had been lost. But she also felt Lyra's strength, the way she had kept fighting to survive, kept the ship running, kept hoping against hope that her son was safe. Then it was Maya's turn to share. She let Lyra see her childhood, her love of science, her struggles with loneliness and feeling different from other people. She shared her failed marriage, her dedication to her work, and the emptiness she had felt for so long. Then she showed Lyra the joy she had found in caring for Zeph, and the happiness she felt at the thought of having a real family. The sharing went on for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Maya learned about ethereal culture, their love of music and art, their reverence for life in all its forms. She felt Lyra's dreams of finding a peaceful place to raise her son, and her hope that maybe, just maybe, Earth could be that place. When the memory sharing was complete, they moved on to sharing hopes and promises. Maya promised to protect Zeph as if he were her own child. She promised to help Lyra heal from her injuries and find a place where they could be safe. She promised to be loyal and caring, to share her knowledge in her home, and to always be there when they needed her. Lyra's promises were equally heartfelt. She promised to share her knowledge with Maya, to help her understand technologies and sciences that could benefit humanity. She promised to be a true partner, supporting Maya's work and dreams. She promised to help Maya never feel lonely again and to love her as family always and forever. As they spoke their promises, Maya felt something changing inside her. The connection with Lyra was growing stronger, more permanent. She could feel it settling into her mind like a warm, comfortable presence. It wasn't intrusive. It was more like gaining a new sense, like suddenly being able to hear a beautiful song that had always been playing but that she'd never noticed before. When the ceremony was complete, Maya opened her eyes and looked at Lyra. Her new bonded partner's skin was glowing with the most beautiful golden light, and her eyes were filled with tears of joy. Maya realized she was crying too, but they were happy tears. "How do you feel?" Lyra asked gently. Maya took a moment to examine her emotions. She felt different, not changed in any dramatic way, but more complete somehow. Like she'd been missing a piece of herself and had finally found it. "I feel like I'm home," Maya said. And she meant it completely. Zeph launched himself into both their arms, his skin flashing through every color of happiness he possessed. "We're family now," he said, his voice filled with pure joy. Really, truly family, and they were. Maya could feel it in the new connection she shared with Lyra, in the way Zeph's emotions were now even clearer to her, in the sense of belonging that filled her heart. She had gained not just one new family member, but two. And the love between them was already strong enough to last a lifetime. Over the following days, as Lyra recovered from her injuries with Maya's help and Earth's medical knowledge, their bond continued to deepen. Maya learned to understand ethereal technology, and she began making discoveries that would revolutionize human science. But more importantly, she learned what it felt like to be part of a family that chose each other, supported each other, loved each other unconditionally. The three of them worked together to repair the ship and plan for their future. Maya knew that their life wouldn't be simple. They would have to keep their existence secret from most humans, at least for now. But they would face those challenges together, as a family should. Late at night, as Maya lay in her bed aboard the ship, she could feel Lyra's peaceful sleep through their bond and Zeph's happy dreams. For the first time in her adult life, Maya felt truly, completely content. She had found her place in the universe, and it was with this wonderful alien family who had chosen to love her. The bonding ceremony had changed everything, just as Lyra had promised it would, but the changes were all good ones. Maya had gained a family, a purpose, and a love that was deeper and more meaningful than anything she had ever experienced. She fell asleep smiling, knowing that tomorrow would bring new adventures with the people she loved most in any world. 3 months had passed since the bonding ceremony, and Maya's life had become something she never could have imagined. The damaged ethereal ship now orbited Earth in a stable pattern, hidden by technology that made it invisible to human detection systems. Maya spent half her time on the ship with her new family and half at her research station, maintaining the appearance of normal life while secretly revolutionizing human understanding of science. But their peaceful existence was about to be disrupted. In the worst possible way, Maya was working in the ship's laboratory, learning how ethereal biotechnology could help heal damaged ecosystems on Earth. When alarms began sounding throughout the vessel, the gentle musical tones that usually filled the ship were replaced by urgent, discordant notes that made Maya's heart race. Lyra rushed into the lab, her skin flashing the deep red that Maya had learned meant serious danger. Zeph was right behind her, his colors cycling through worried blues and frightened purples. "What's happening?" Maya asked, feeling their alarm through the family bond they shared. "Ships," Lyra said, her voice tight with fear. "3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace near Earth. They're from my homeworld. They're not here for a peaceful visit." Maya felt her stomach drop. They had always known this day might come, but she had hoped they would have more time to prepare. "Are they looking for you?" Maya asked. Zeph nodded, his skin now a solid gray color that Maya had never seen before. "They're the purists, the ones who think contact with other species is forbidden. They think Mom and I are criminals for being kind to humans." Maya felt a surge of protective anger. How dare anyone call Lyra and Zeph criminals for showing kindness? But she pushed her emotions aside and focused on the problem at hand. "Do they want?" she asked. "They want us to surrender," Lyra said, checking the ship's systems as she spoke. They'll take us back to face judgment for contaminating ourselves with alien contact. The punishment for that is ... severe. Maya didn't need to ask what severe meant. She could feel Lyra's fear through their bond, and it told her everything she needed to know. That's not going to happen, Maya said firmly. We're family, and families protect each other. What are our options? For the next several hours, they worked together to find a solution. Maya's knowledge of Earth's communication systems combined with Lyra's understanding of ethereal technology and politics led them to a daring plan. The purists are operating without official approval, Lyra explained. They're a rogue faction that's been gaining power by spreading fear about alien contact. But the majority of our government still believes in peaceful exploration and learning, so we need to contact the good guys, Maya said. Can we do that? We can try, Lyra said. But we'll need to boost our communications array, and that means using Earth's satellite network. It's risky, it might expose our presence to your government. I had thought about this. Her supervisor, Dr. Rodriguez, had been asking questions about her recent absences and unusual equipment requests. It was only a matter of time before someone official started investigating her activities. Maybe it's time, Maya said slowly. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Lyra and Zeph both stared at her in surprise. Think about it, Maya continued. We've been trying to keep your existence secret to protect you, but that's also making you vulnerable. If we're going to call for help from your people, why not call for help from mine too? It was a huge risk, but Maya had an idea. Dr. Rodriguez was a good person who believed in the peaceful pursuit of knowledge. If Maya could convince her that Lyra and Zeph were refugees seeking help rather than invaders, maybe she would understand. The plan they came up with was bold and dangerous. They would use Earth's communication satellites to send a message to the Ethereal Council, exposing the purists' unauthorized actions. At the same time, Maya would contact Dr. Rodriguez and reveal the truth about her new family. If this goes wrong, Lyra warned, we could end up captured by both our species. Then we better make sure it goes right, Maya said, taking both Lyra's and Zeph's hands. Through their family bond, she sent them all her love and determination. We're stronger together than apart. We can do this. The next few hours were the most intense of Maya's life. While Lyra and Zeph worked to boost their communication systems, Maya used her satellite phone to call Dr. Rodriguez. Maya? Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for days, her supervisor said. Dr. Rodriguez, I need you to listen to me very carefully, Maya said. I'm about to tell you something that will sound impossible, but I need you to trust me. Remember when you said that discovering extraterrestrial life would be the greatest moment in human history? There was a pause. Maya, what are you talking about? I found them, Maya said simply, and they need our help. What followed was the strangest conversation of Maya's career. She explained about finding Zeph, about meeting Lyra, about the bonding ceremony and their life together as a family. She explained about the purest ships and the danger her family was in. Dr. Rodriguez was silent for a long time after Maya finished speaking. Maya, she said finally, either you've had a complete mental breakdown or you've just told me about the most important discovery in human history. Which is it? The second one, Maya said, and I can prove it. Within hours, Dr. Rodriguez was at Maya's research station with a small team of scientists and government officials. Maya had been terrified that they would see Lyra and Zeph as threats, but she had underestimated humanity's capacity for wonder and compassion. When Zeph demonstrated his color-changing abilities and Lyra shared some of her scientific knowledge, the humans were amazed rather than afraid. Dr. Rodriguez actually cried when she realized that Earth had made peaceful contact with an alien species. This is incredible, she kept saying. This changes everything we thought we knew about the universe. Meanwhile, Lyra's message to the Ethereal Council was successful. The council was shocked to learn about the purists' unauthorized mission and immediately sent ships to intervene. When the purist vessels realized they had been exposed and that help was coming, they retreated rather than face the consequences of their actions. The crisis was over, but the real work was just beginning. Maya found herself at the center of the most important diplomatic mission in human history. She served as the bridge between her birth species and her chosen family, helping both sides understand each other. It wasn't always easy. There were humans who feared the aliens, and ethereals who thought the bonding ceremony was a mistake. But Maya, Lyra, and Zeph proved that different species could not only coexist, but thrive together. 3 years later, Maya stood in the garden of their new home, a special structure built to accommodate both human and ethereal needs. The house was a beautiful blend of earth architecture and ethereal biotechnology, with living walls that glowed softly and rooms that could change size and shape based on what was needed. Maya watched as Zeph played with a group of human children who had become his best friends. The kids barely noticed that he looked different anymore. They just saw him as Zeph, the friend who could predict the weather and always knew the best places to find interesting rocks. Lyra came up beside Maya and took her hand. Through their family bond, Maya felt her contentment and love. "Do you ever regret it?" Lyra asked softly. "Is giving up your quiet life for all this chaos?" Maya looked around at their home, at Zeph laughing with his friends, at the future they were building together. In the distance, she could see the joint research facility where humans and ethereals worked side by side, making discoveries that would benefit both species. "Never," Maya said, squeezing Lyra's hand. "This is the best chaos I've ever experienced." That night, as Maya tucked Zeph into bed, he looked up at her with those large, expressive eyes that had first captured her heart in the desert. "Maya," he said, "do you remember when I asked you to marry my mom?" Maya laughed. "How could I forget? It was the strangest proposal I've ever received." Zeph's skin turned the warm gold color that meant he was deeply happy. "It was also the best idea I ever had. You and Mom were made to be family. I could feel it the first day I met you." As Maya kissed his forehead goodnight, she reflected on how much her life had changed since that day in the desert. She had gained not just a family, but a purpose, a community, and a love that transcended the boundaries between worlds. The little alien child's impossible request had led to the most wonderful life Maya could have imagined. She fell asleep that night surrounded by the love of her chosen family, knowing that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. Outside their window, the stars shone down on a world where two species had learned to call each other family and where love truly knew no boundaries.